Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and I'm so lucky to have this amazing panel today. So for Charter Moms Chats, we've been talking about amazing schools of choice here in San Antonio, and today we're featuring the CAST schools, which stands for Centers for Applied Science and Technology. And we have, for our guests, we have Jeanne Russell, who's the executive director of CAST schools, and she's been there since the very beginning. And she's going to, gosh, it's hard to summarize, but Jeanne has a lot of experience with policy and education and journalism, and she brings all of that to making CAST as successful as possible and bringing in the partnerships that make it so special, whether that's with school districts and with businesses. But one of the tenets of CAST schools is student voice. And so we have students representing almost all of the CAST campuses, and they're going to be sharing about their experiences. So I wanted to, go do Brady Bunch screens so that y'all could see, we look forward to getting to hear from all of these students. But in the short run, what we're going to do is the students are going to go backstage, and then I'm going to ask Jeanne some questions about CAST schools. So, okay, so thank you so much, students. I am sending you backstage, and then it's going to be me and Jeanne. Thank you, Jonathan. And I'm going to bring in the slides. Okay, Jeanne, thank you so much.
Thank you. No, we're so excited to be here, and we really appreciate you including the students because they really are our best ambassadors. So, if you really want to know what it's like to be at a CAST school, I always say ask one of our students.
Yeah. So, well, I wanted to tell you, or I wanted you to tell us about sort of what was the need that prompted you and your colleagues to create CAST schools, and what are the problems that you're trying to solve? Like, what were you hearing from industries in San Antonio? What were you hearing from school districts, and how does the model address those problems?
Yeah, so I'm just going to be really brief because I do want to hear from the students, but I think the sort of problem to solve in our community at the time was we had all worked really collectively hard for what we were calling like a college going culture, and this idea of college preparatory high schools and greater rigor. But industry was saying, is that really enough? And they saw a real disconnect in the academic preparation not being tied in any way to the types of opportunities, competencies, skills that you see in what I'm going to call the real world. And so one of our founding executives, Kate Rogers, was fond of saying, but what happens if you graduate from college and there's no job on the other side? So we see ourselves as not in the sort of binary either or of maybe past eras where vocational education and college were seen as separate, but we're not exclusively career prep, nor are we trade schools, and we're not traditional charters. We are a hybrid model, a new model in partnership with public school districts. So we see ourselves as a new vision for teaching and learning that is much more holistic, designed to connect students, to give them an opportunity to kick the tires to what they might want to do with real world applications. And we believe that schooling brings in the community and is an act of co-creation. So there's this constant ongoing dialogue between industry partners, between nonprofits, between civic leaders about what is it that students really should be exposed to in order to be, future leaders. So.
Yeah, and please prompt me if you want me to move to a different slide.
Yeah, you can move to the.
But
sure. Sorry about that.
Okay. Let me go ahead and let's see what else. Oh, okay. So this is the overview of the schools in the CAST network. Do you want to talk about this a little bit? And then the students, of course, they'll talk about the campuses that they're from.
So basically, as probably most people have first heard of CAST Tech, which is our flagship school, and you can see on the slide we've now grown to 5 schools, 4 of which are high schools, and 1 of which is a pre-K through 12 academy, which is a different kind of thinking for us. Each of them offers what we consider to be totally unique pathways, like pathways you cannot find at any other campus in the city, and ones that are in direct response to, again, our industry partners saying this is the kind of thinking that we need to see. So to pull out a few examples, like at CAST Tech, we offer a pathway on user experience, which is the only one in this state. CAST STEM offers global logistics, which during the pandemic. Talk about a high need, a high demand field, and no other campus in our city offers logistics. At CASMed, we have biomedical research. ALA is a really interesting campus because it's very much grounded in design thinking, which again is a sort of very cutting edge, different approach to education. Then our newest campus, CAS Lead, has a strand in e-commerce, also the only one in the city and I believe in the state. And again, something that has really risen in importance during this time.
Yeah, you were definitely ahead of the curve, but it's because you were listening to what the industries were saying, because these, COVID has basically rapidly accelerated trends that were kind of already present in society, but just kind of put everything under a great deal of stress. So,
that's an interesting point, Inga, because I think also, as you know, education doesn't move at the speed of industry usually. So that's another thing we try to do, is just be a little bit more adaptive and responsive if we can, when we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I wanted to be sure and ask you about was the core pillars, and I already mentioned youth voice, because that's something we have to look forward to in this presentation. So, but I was wondering if you could touch on the core pillars of CAS schools.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said youth voice, and I'm going to keep this short, but youth voice is my personal passion, and our core pillars basically shape our student experience. So while people may know us for our pathways, our student experience is designed to put students at the center. So the idea is students choose a school based on an interest, but what we're doing is we're working with them to uncover what their passions are, unlock their gifts, and surround them with a sense of purpose. So student voice is literally at the heart of everything we do, but our schools are very small. And so relationships is a key pillar for us as well. Students are going to be working alongside not only teachers, but adult mentors from the field, et cetera. And we think our tight relationships are actually one of the reasons we've been somewhat resilient during this pandemic, surrounded by caring adults and treating young people as adults who have, are deserving of respect and have ideas about what they want to learn. And then authentic experiences, this idea of, connecting your learning to something that is either a field of interest or travel or some kind of real world way to really understand your learning is critical to us. And then equity, we customize. We are committed that no child should ever fall through the cracks, and we really believe that every student comes to us with different gifts, and our job is to really design that learning path for each of our students.
Yeah.
Those are
so one more. Oh, we'll come back to that about the applications. Okay, so Jeanne, that is an excellent introduction to the CAS schools model, and I think it's time that we're going to put the youth voice thing in action. So
word for everything.
That's right. So we're going to hear from the best ambassadors for CAS schools, which is the students themselves. So I'm going to bring Jonathan Rodriguez, who is a senior at CAS Tech High School. So that was the first CAS school to open, right? So Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So which pathway are you on at CAS Tech?
So at CAS Tech, I am currently in the UX pathway, which is a brand new pathway. And Ms. Russell mentioned it earlier, but the way it started was freshman year, we had our class, and one of the teachers tells the story all the time. They were looking at graphic design, and they saw that a UX designer, which means user experience designer, which means the people that build the websites and make the apps and makes the whole experience of making stuff. She asked, how come a UX experience designer makes more than a graphic designer? And our teacher was real curious about that, and she researched it more, and she reached out to USAA, and CAS Tech and USAA worked together to make the first user experience path course, like user experience high school course in Texas. So it was really cool to kind of be a part of that and see it grow and be a part of the workshops that we had to test it out and make it happen. So now at CAS Tech, we have that as a pathway. So that's the pathway I'm in. When I first joined, I didn't know much about making apps, and they trained us to do this wireframe. They helped us make it happen, and we're able to learn how to do that. And a lot of my friends have made websites for other businesses outside, so they offer internship opportunities from companies like smaller or bigger companies to make websites. So over the summer, a lot of my friends are making websites. But yeah, so CastTech is I'm part of CastTech's inaugural class. We offer 3 pathways, which is business, cybersecurity, and the UX pathway I'm in. So cybersecurity is more of the coding, and then of course we have the business, which they make all the business plans and like entrepreneurship, and then UX. What I really like about all of that is that they're kind of like integrated with each other, because you have to have one without the other. So they're like in perfect harmony. So whenever we do a project, we're like, oh, okay, like this person knows how to do this, so we're able to work together and like make stuff. So in the future, I'm really excited to see where my friends are going to do and how we're going to collaborate to make businesses and make all these ideas.
That's really exciting. Jonathan, is there a particular like business that you've gotten to work with, or like a mentor, or like your kind of internship experience, you got to create something?
Yes. So like 2 weeks ago, I had a mentor meeting, and it's with a creative agency. So he was asking like, what do you want to learn here? And I was like, oh, okay, like I want to start a business one day. And since he already is a business and helped founded it, he was like telling me all these books I should read, and asking like, let me see what you have already, and he can like help me critique it in the professional world. So mentorship, definitely. Internship, um, when I was able to get an internship with the Cast Network. So right now I'm their social media intern. So you go look at Cast Tech School on social media, on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and you can see like all the stuff I post, and I make sure it's like I interview students and I create the posts and just talk about like the interesting stuff that the school has. But anyway, that was that was junior year. I was applying to this internship, and our partnership coordinator, which is the one who gets us all the partners and works with us.
It's Amir. I love Amir. He's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He posted this opportunity, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to apply to this. And he was like, all right, well, make sure you get a resume. And I like had no idea how to make a resume. The same night I was like typing to get a resume, and I was able to send it to him. And he was like, oh, okay, this is good. But then he helped me like improve my resume, because it's like I have no idea what I'm doing. And then he also helps us a lot when we're doing mock interviews. So sometimes I'd go in his office, and he would ask us this interview questions, and we'd see what we did right and not did right, but see what we can do better, and like answering certain questions and getting us prepared for that. So that was really fun experience. But yeah.
Yeah. What you're talking about, like one of the pillars a lot, which is relationships, right? That you have like, there's mentors and like, people who are doing things that you might like to do someday, and they can tell you how they got there. And I mean, even today, I this morning I had a call with my mentor, and we were talking about, like a strategic plan that I'm working on for the next few years for the nonprofit. And I couldn't have gotten where I've gotten with founding a nonprofit if it weren't for mentors and relationships. And so I'm really happy that you all at the high school level are learning those skills and starting to build those relationships already. So
yeah,
go ahead.
I feel like here we're like working towards something that goes like beyond college, and working to what we want to do. So a lot of the stuff we do, we really love. So everyone's always really supportive, and we're always talking what we want to do after college and after high school, and like the skills we're learning, we're able to like transfer anywhere we want to go. So I don't know, it's really exciting, and I'm really happy I'm here. And I was able to get some of my friends that were at my old school to come to Cast too, and because it's really good. It's really good. The cultures here is good. The opportunities and the skills you learn is just, I don't know. It's amazing. I don't know.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Well, Jonathan, I think I'm going to switch over to a student at another campus. But thank you so much for telling your story. Okay. So I'm going to send Jonathan to the backstage, and then let me bring, let's see, Sarah Guerrero is you're a senior, right? And you're at Advanced Learning Academy, which actually is pretty much on the same campus as, or at least like the high school is on the same campus as like Cast Tech and Fox Tech, right? Sort of in that sort of northwestern quadrant of downtown, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I guess I was asking other students or what pathway they're on, but are there pathways at Advanced Learning Academy, or is it a little different?
It's a little bit different. We only have like the one pathway. Our school is focused on being global change makers, global leaders, and design thinking, which is really interesting. I think is very unique. So a lot of that kind of goes into seeing different world problems that there are, different issues that there are in the world, and we have the opportunity to research them, look into them, and in some cases, before COVID and before pandemic times, to take field trips to talk to people in those fields. So our seniors last year were able to go to DC and to talk about different environmental impacts. And so that's really interesting, and talking to the Congress people that represent us. So that kind of
I hope you'll get to do trips again. I know it's like it does kind of limit. Are you doing mostly distance learning, or are you on campus?
I'm doing mostly distance learning, so I'm at home right now. But I do have some friends and some other people that are starting to head back to campus.
Do you, Sarah, do you have like a favorite project, or a favorite teacher, or favorite experience that you've had at Advanced Learning Academy?
Yeah. Yes to all of the.
Well, you pick one, yeah.
One of the, I think, biggest experiences that I've had at ALA has been, we took a field trip a few years ago when I was a sophomore. We took a field trip to Arkansas, and we spent a week out without cell phones, without anything, just the clothes that we brought, and we were all split up into different groups, and we learned how different developing countries live. And so we had everything stripped away from us, and we were the people there chose the countries that we were from. And so we just all had different experiences. We had some people that were living in huts, some people that were sleeping on the ground, and we all had to just fend for ourselves. And it was a really eye-opening experience to learn to take advantage, and also not to kind of take advantage of the opportunities that we have here in the United States, but also to realize that there aren't as many opportunities in other places in the world. And so yeah, that was a very interesting experience. We all came back with a new pair of eyes.
Yeah. Living in a different way than you normally do, I guess, experiencing sort of temporary culture shock, and then putting things in perspective. Yeah, that sounds powerful. Well, do you have any advice for, like, or if a family is like, or a student is thinking about Advanced Learning Academy, like kind of what things they should, they could look forward to if they do choose to enroll there?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of opportunities, like the way Jonathan was talking about. There's a lot of different opportunities to explore. And I know for some students, it might seem scary moving to another school where your friends or people that may not want to go. But in my experience, I've moved schools 5 different times, and I've been in different districts, different types of school: private school, public school, charter school. And this is the one school that I can for sure say has had like the most impact on my learning. So just because your friends aren't going there doesn't mean that you shouldn't take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you. And it's definitely a positive environment that, kind of going back to those core pillars, we have relationships, and I have very meaningful relationships with my teachers and my peers, because we're all focused around the idea that, around something that's bigger than ourselves, things that are going to impact others. And it's just something that I enjoy and I love about our school and about the network.
Yeah, no, that sounds very meaningful. Like you said, your relationships and a sense of a common purpose that you and your peers and your teachers have. And it does take courage to change schools. And I think the older kids get, the more they need to have a say in what happens with their education. But it sounds like you've played a role in that, and you're charting a course that's going to help you for the future.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I really enjoy having these opportunities to talk about our school and about all the opportunities that we have.
Oh, I really appreciate it, Sarah. Then, I hope that more families are aware of ALA, and that's the one that starts at even at pre-K too. So, but
Right.
I'll,
Yes.
yeah, I'll talk to Jeanne and her team, and maybe I can have like another episode just about ALA because I think there's a lot to talk about. So, okay, Sarah, thank you so much. I'm going to Sarah's going to go back to the backstage, and I'm going to bring Alberto Alvarez, and he is a junior at Castem. So, Alberto, thank you so much.
Hello. Is my audio fine?
I can hear you just fine. You're doing great. So I was wondering, can you tell me
Okay.
which pathway are you on at Castem?
At Castem, I'm in the engineering pathway, and well, for as long as I can remember, I wanted to help people, particularly through prosthetics and body systems and such. And actually, I find myself working on various projects throughout. I have throughout middle school and even elementary and up to high school now. Um, And why I absolutely love CAST is because everything we learn in the engineering pathway, it seems to aid exactly um, with what I need for like what I do and what I'm interested in. It mashes so perfectly together, and I feel that of course what we learn is meaningful, and seeing all the opportunities out there and what engineers can do. It's really motivational to be able to take these courses now and you realize the prospect of like what that means. So
It sounds like what you're
when
learning is it sounds
I'm
like the
sorry, I
things that
didn't.
you're learning. Oh, yeah, a little bit of lag. The things you're learning are meaningful, and it makes you feel like the things you're doing in school are gonna serve you well in the future, right? And like that's why like the A stands for applied. These are things that you will be able to apply in the future as you work towards your goals of being an engineer and working on designing prosthetics.
And at CAST, there's so many memorable learning moments and events and things that I can't really I can't pick one, but I remember in middle school, people would tell me that when there would be a disruptive kid in class or when the teacher couldn't teach because well, it was hard for them too, that they would tell me it'll get better once you get to college because the people who are there will really want to be there. And I'm glad that I get to see that now in high school where you have people who are dedicated, not only students but teachers to the future. And it feels really great to be a part of that.
That sounds like that's from the heart, right? You want your time spent on campus to be meaningful, not disrupted, and by people who are passionate about what they're doing. It sounds like that you have found that at Castem. Well, do you have any advice about like what's unique about your campus, or like what can you remind us what the other pathways are that they offer at Castem?
The other pathways are global logistics, power and energy, and advanced manufacturing. Um, each one and of course engineering, each one is so broad in that you can, if you were to pursue one of those careers, you're bound to be successful as you can apply that to so many things. And as for advice to somebody who might be interested, I would say that it's you probably will never uh, have the same sense of community in a high school like this, where the teachers are invested in the student success and the students are invested in not only in their own academics but each other's, and everything just builds on each other to promote this idea of success and community, which is really great.
Yeah, and there's robots, right? There's like the manufacturing robot. I want to visit sometime and see the robot. But no, but it's more than just robots. Like you said, it's relationships and having everyone feel belonging and purpose. And that sounds wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you, Alberto, and thank you for telling us about
Thank you.
Castem. So Alberto he'll go backstage, and let's see, we're going to talk to Gabriella Silva, and she is a sophomore at Cast Med High School. So Gabriella, thank you. And can you tell us about which pathway that you're on at Cast Med?
Of course. So we actually chose pathways a few weeks back, and it is an important decision. So I chose the medicine pathway because the career I'd like to pursue, which is pediatric physical therapist, that's just the pathway that it falls into. And really, when you enter a pathway and when you choose a pathway, those pathways are catered and kind of customized to what you need and basically to be successful in that career. But we have 3 pathways at the school. We have biomedical research, medicine, and public health. So say you want to be a public health educator, you go into the public health pathway, or if you would like to work in a lab and do research, you go into the biomedical research pathway. It's just really whatever suits you best and what you feel like you do the best in.
Yeah. So, well, what I know you said. So, I mean, you're a sophomore, and you just went through the process of choosing your pathway. So, you may not have that many experiences yet that are specific to your pathway. But are there things that you especially like about Cast Med High School, like about the kind of the culture at the school, or like the activities that y'all do?
Absolutely. So, just as all the other students were saying, the teachers and everyone around you are really dedicated to getting you to that light at the end of the road, and which is graduating high school and being as successful as you can be after high school. And it really is a sense of like their family to you, and like your teachers are parents that love and support you in everything you do and want the best for you. So I think that's definitely one of the things that I love about Cast Med.
Well, that's wonderful. Do you have any advice for families that are maybe thinking about, or students who are thinking about enrolling at Cast Med, things that they can look forward to?
Absolutely. So as Sarah was saying, it's a big decision and a big leap, and it might be scary for some students. I know it was for me because I transitioned from one district to another, and no one was coming with me really. And I was like, well, this is what's best for me in my future, and I can't think of just these 4 years that I'm in high school. I have to think ahead of that also. So for students, don't be scared to take this big leap into something that will have a great effect on your future.
Yeah, it does take courage to make a change. But I think anybody hearing about your testimony about what it's like on campus and what opportunities you have, I think they would agree that it's worth taking a chance on. It's worth the change, because then you can be part of this great community. So Gabriella, thank you. I'm gonna put your camera to the backstage, and then we're gonna bring in Berkley, who is at Cast Lead High School. So Berkley, what is your grade level at Cast Lead?
I'm a freshman in Cast School.
Okay, wonderful. And well, you may not have chosen a pathway yet, but do you have a sense of like which pathway you might want to pick, or just what your options are?
A pathway that I would like to choose is hospitality and tourism.
Yeah, well, that's a big part of what San Antonio is all about, right? Or well, in like pre-pandemic times, right? San Antonio is a very welcoming city for tourists. So what interests you about hospitality and tourism as a potential pathway?
I want to be better at communicating with people, and if I want a business in the future, I need to communicate with people to help make that happen.
Yeah. That's a lot of what I do is communicating, and even I guess like Jonathan, who's on the UI UX pathway. I mean, that's yes, he's designing wireframes and websites and stuff, but that's about communication too, because it's about treating your audience with respect and giving them what you think they need. So yeah. Well, so Cast Lead is the newest school in the Cast network. Does everything feel really new on campus?
Everything's new. It's different for me. It's definitely a new experience, and it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great. Okay, I'm gonna and then let's see. Oh, having a little glitch here. There we go. Oh, there's the link for Cast Lead. So, well, Berkley, do you have any advice for families who are like, or students who are thinking about, like maybe they're 8th graders right now and they're thinking about applying to a CAS school for the next year, kind of like what kind of pros and cons they should weigh, or what thought process they should have?
So it may seem different going to a new school, and like somewhat of other people, like what some other people said, that you'll be in different school without without your friend. Like you won't be. I'm sorry. It's all new. It's new. It's a new thing, but change is also nice. It gives you new experiences. It helps you. It helps you reaches your goals. Sorry. It helps you come out of your comfort zone. It provides new experiences, and it's okay for change to happen. Sorry. Should I mute?
Hey everybody, it looks like Inga Cotton might have froze and got kicked out of our meeting, but I'm Miss Vasquez. I'm the part. Oh, she's back.
I'm back. The excitement of Zoom.
Did you want to finish up with Berkley real quick?
I do, but I don't mean to interrupt. It sounds like you guys were adapted, so thank you very much.
No, we were kind of steering awkwardly for a while, but I was gonna jump in and ask her, but you're back, so we'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry, Berkley, that it was during your turn that my computer froze. I'm really sorry. But yeah, you were talking about the thought process that, as like students are, thinking about switching to CAS schools, and then their friends might be going to a different high school. But how that might feel. Did you get a chance to finish your thought, or were there any other things you wanted to share about your experience at CAS Lead?
There are a lot of learning experiences from going to CAS schools. Like, for example, we got to interview some industry members about community service, and that was a good experience to get a better understanding of what having a business is like, and how people train their customers. And I felt like that was a good learning experience.
Yeah. Well, Berkley, I feel like you've done a great job of giving us a window into what CAS Lead is like, and I really appreciate you stepping in to share with us. I'm really grateful for that. Okay, so I'm going to let's see. We've heard from each of the students on our panel. So Berkley's going to go to the backstage. I'm going to bring Jeanne, and then also the slides, if I can. Yes, here we go. We're going to bring the slides back. Okay, and this is where we want to let's see. I wanted Jeanne, sort of as in her sort of bird's eye view, over the CAS Schools network, to talk about like what were some of the common themes, or how did you hear the pillars represented in what the students were talking about?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. And I'd also love to hear your reflections, because I'm, of course, very close to this. I always am so happy when I hear from our students. And in particular, I want to give props to Berkley, who is a brand new student, a 9th grader, and also was subbing for somebody else at the last minute. So talk about being brave, being adaptable. These are the kinds of experiences we always want to give our students. I was on another panel with another student today, and she broke up and I had to jump in, and it was very awkward. And she texted me afterwards and she said, I just want to thank you because this is really helping me improve my public speaking skills. And I just think all of our students here have such a positive attitude about, getting opportunities to interact with adults and with the community and to be agents for change. And, I hope that that's something about the culture we're creating at our schools. But I also think at the end of the day, I just have a lot of faith in young people. And I think if we create spaces where young people can be allowed to flourish, so that, I would rather, leave it on their words than me try to summarize. So what were your takeaways, Inga?
Yeah. Well, I would say the stuff that Jonathan was talking about, he's the CAS Tech student, that resonated with me a lot, because that's a campus that I have visited, and I know he mentioned the mentorship coordinator, Amir Samandi, who's a friend of mine who I have tremendous respect for. And so, and I've watched like, mentorship meetings happening, and, students coming and going from internships and stuff. And so unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to visit the other CAS campuses or ALA yet. Oh, actually, that's not true. I snuck into ALA one time when they were having like a 5th grade science fair, because a friend of mine was, she wanted me to see what her son was working on. So I was very impressed with just how much agency the students had. So I'm big on, like, I like to witness things with my own eyes, and I'm really grateful to hear from these students. And I can sense from all of them, like, the enthusiasm that they have. They all feel invested in the pathways that they've chosen, and they're all really grateful for the teachers and mentors and the relationships that they're building. And I hope that the Charter House community that's watching the video gets a sense of, like, that these CAS schools are out there, and they're welcoming new 9th graders every year to get this experience of education that's relevant, because it's plugged in with what the industry partners are saying, but it's not limiting students to just a career track. It's also a college preparatory education, so they kind of get the best of both worlds, right? And they can, if they do choose to go to college, they'll come out of it with skills like the resume writing skills, like Jonathan mentioned, or I remember Amir explaining, it's like, yeah, you got to tell the kids, like, you have to answer your email. You have to actually check your inbox. Like, not everything's done by text message in business.
Right. Well, another way to think about it too, Inga, is that, most of our students from San Antonio, with some exceptions, are going to do work at some point when they're in college, right? And probably in high school too. So why not have that be directly related to something that they're interested in as their field of study? So take a Jonathan, since he's one of our rising seniors, first graduating class, if he can find work while he's putting himself through college in the pathway of UX, well, then everything is, in this wonderful dialogue. So what he's learning at work relates to what he's learning at school, and he can even potentially, challenge his professors, and it becomes a much more engaging, almost Socratic kind of approach to education, right? So, and I think you heard from Sarah and from others too, just about like that sense of unlocking of like, I have this, this agency, this thing I want to do is going to be supported, whatever that thing is. And so while we have these pathways, they're very flexible. Or take Alberto's, interest is really in prosthetics, right? But he's in an engineering pathway. So he's been able to, and some people might think, oh, that's a medical thing, but he's been able to really meld his interest in prosthetics with his interest in engineering. And so the pathways are flexible to meet the passion and interest of the students. So
yeah.
Makes
okay.
me
Yeah, no, this is really exciting. I'm going to go to the last slide, and this is what I always call the sort of the call to action part of the presentation, and that is we want people to know where to apply, right? So, Jeanne, what do people need to know about the application process for CAS schools?
Yeah, very little. So we try to make it as easy as possible. You just need to go to our website, which is casschools.com. And there is a /apply, but you can actually find it on the home screen very easily. And we do, I mentioned in the beginning, we are in partnership with various public school districts. So those links will take you to the actual applications in each of those school districts. But we try to make it as easy as possible. So it's one-stop shopping. You can go check out all of our schools. And many of our schools are also offering limited space, in-person opportunities to go do open houses throughout the winter. So if people are interested in kind of seeing the campus, there are some limited spaces available for that. And then there's plenty of virtual town halls as well. So people who want to ask more questions, want to meet the principal, those opportunities are going to continue throughout the application season. So.
Yeah. And then now, as you mentioned, CAS schools work in partnership with independent school districts because it's a hybrid model. And so, right, so 3 of these schools are SAISD partnerships. The others are East Central ISD and Southwest ISD. So the application process is a little different depending on the partner school district. But right now is open enrollment season, and I think most of the schools have an application deadline of open enrollment on January 29th. Although this is COVID season, so things might change. But basically, like, I want families to be aware that there is kind of an enrollment timeline, and your best opportunity is to apply during open enrollment, and that's through the end of January.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yes, but we will always be adaptable and flexible. So don't be strangers. If you want to come chat with us anytime, we're open arms.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring all of our student panelists back on the screen so that we can. Oh, some of them have stepped out. Well, if they're around, they can turn their cameras back on. But I'm super grateful to all these amazing students, and you guys did a fantastic job of, talking about your experience and representing for your school. And I still get butterflies sometimes doing live videos. So I'm really impressed with your poise, and I'm really excited about the pathways that you're on and the futures that you have mapped out for yourselves.
They're the best. And I love the little friendly competition we've got going on here, y'all. It's very fun to watch.
Great. And then the audience doesn't know, but like in our private chat, they've been encouraging each other, and it's just the sweetest thing. You guys are like really good people. It gives me, like Jeanne said, there's a lot of reason to be hopeful about the future. There's reason to be hopeful about this generation that's coming up. So thank you guys so much.
They are leading the way. They are lighting the path.
Yeah, they are. Okay. Well, on that note, we will end this Charter Moms chat, and but it's going to persist on Facebook, YouTube, and the podcast. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Have a good night.